Hey there guys, this is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tasuke, and this is the Tales of Rebirth Final Thought video. Yes, I finally did it. Finally, and this one's gonna be the last of just the anime cutscenes ones. I'll go ahead and say it. Because it's actually it's getting harder to get these clips, especially since these new games are being put on Blu-rays, and I can't rip Blu-ray PS3 games because I don't have the right drive for it, but that's okay. I feel like I finally get to talk about this game. It was originally supposed to be done by like 2006, I think. Yeah, around like 2006. And this one is definitely interesting. Like the Destiny remake and Destiny 2, I play this solely in Japanese, but so I don't have all the details on the plot, but the FAQ I was using liked to give little tidbits and gave like little summaries on what was going on. And gave like really basic tidbits on what the characters were saying. Obviously, not completely. And I know there are sub videos online of the entire story by a YouTuber called Lane or something. But she subbed like the entirety of Rebirth and some of Destiny 2 and some of the Destiny PS2 remake. But this is not about those games. This is about Rebirth. I've already talked about those games. And I played the PS2 version. I got this game, a new copy, off of, I think it was eBay. Either that or was I think it might have been my first purchase off of PlayAsia. And this is all, I ripped these cutscenes myself. It took a bit of work though. This one, I really had to work because so sorry if some of these clips are cut a little short from what you remember if you've played the game, but yeah. But anyway, like with this one, you know, it came out after Symphonia, and I think it was even rumored to come out in English, but they decided not to release it for whatever reason. I'm still not entirely sure why. Probably just because it was a 2D game. Though from what I can tell, like the battle background, the battle arena, or like the backgrounds in like the battle, it's still like a 2D plane, but it's rendered in 3D. And also I think the weapons are also rendered in 3D, or like a certain kind of like probably I think it's supposed to be like the Donkey Kong thing where it's rendered in 3D but then compressed into like a 2D image or something. And here's that fateful night where all these people got their force. I am actually watching this footage. I'll try not to... I don't want to talk too much about the specific cutscene I'm watching, but with this game, the racism theme is even stronger in this one because, you know, it's not even just about like a different type of human. It's literally two different species. The Huma, which are the humans, and the Gajuma, which are beast people. And they generally range from bird and deer people, from what I've noticed. There are also Halfas, such as Hilda and some other people. But speaking of the gameplay, like, it seems like they were trying to make sort of like a free run like thing in 2D. With the 3-line thing, and actually I think it actually works pretty well when you think about it from a free run perspective. It's about as free run as you can get within a 2D game. Like the only other thing I could think of would be to try to Star Ocean the entire thing, which they might do, or they could do, but I don't think they're going to. And I'm okay with it. With it being, it's you know, it's an older Tales game at this point. It came out in 2004. I think I bought it like in 2005 or 2006, but I remember reading about it on Tales Central. This was like, you know, it was interesting because I saw it as sort of like a later Tales game, so I didn't really, it wasn't my entire focus. But I know I said I wouldn't mention anything about the cutscenes, but I felt like I had to go ahead and mention Vague Scream, Claire! And, you know, this game Look at Vague being all sad. This game, I feel like, was a very both visually and story-wise and theme-wise, and everything about this game was fucking dark. Like, I felt like, you know, in comparison to Exilia 2, which I'm going to talk about later on, with its use of death, as well as its of how it makes you feel, this game, I feel like, in general, is just a very dark Tales game. And Mitsumi Inomata, I believe, did the character designs, and even the designs look a little dreamish, I think. They look a little different. I don't know what it is, but what I was kind of getting at before, but, you know, after I got Tales of Destiny 2, I finally got it. I know I'm kind of jumping around. It's been a while since I beat this game, but Nick actually, I promised Nick that, like, you know, I would beat the final boss with him, and it was kind of funny, because, like, we were just wailing on the boss, and, like, suddenly he just killed him. Just killed the boss, and, like, wait, what? One thing I find interesting about this game, in particular, is that, you know, you get all your party members, but it seems like you fight every single one of your party members as part of the story, even Vague. And, of course, it comes after that whole, like, you know, punching scene that happens, where Vague and Taitree punch each other out. But, you know. You fight everyone, even Hilda. Like, you literally fight everyone. And I think to the scene that I think may be showing up right now, where it shows Hilda, being revealed that she is she's half human, half Gajuma. It's like, I feel like if I saw this as a kid, it would probably scare me. Probably just because I wouldn't really understand what's going on. And the whole racism thing. It's interesting because I think they were trying to put a little bit of the racism in the fact that Claire and Agarte switch bodies. And so, and it's interesting because Claire, you know, it's kind of funny, like, she's not a party member, like, she doesn't fight with you, but she's very much considered to be, like, she's enough to make, like, the main page of, like, the character list. Like, usually they leave, like, that for certain characters, like, they have their own section, but, like, any characters that show up along with the player character, the characters you get in your party, the characters you can play as, they have to be pretty important for them to not be a playable character yet make that section. It's kind of like with Flynn in Tales of Vesperia, even though he does join at some point, and in the PS3 version he joins permanently. But yeah, like, I felt like this game had this game just seems really, like, in the music. There's one track in particular that's just like a low chorus of men or whatever, and it's got like the little doom 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 sort of like jazz to it, I guess. It's a very this game is very, I feel like this game is definitely, I don't know, maybe it's because it looks a little more shoujo. This game just seems very dark to me, and I don't know, maybe it's just the idea of, like, racism, and I don't know what it is. This game just seemed very, very dark to me. Both in color, because a lot of the character colors, even characters like a Mao, who have red hair, it's a dark red. It's not, like, bright red. Like, not like Luke or Reed or Adolf from the E series. You know, it's like, the colors are very dull and dark. And this game also happens to be the first Tales game where I actually put it on easy. Because I found this game difficult. A fair amount difficult. I still found it pretty fun to play, and I actually really enjoyed it. Personally, I remember there's a lot of times, like, it was around this time when I was really, really, like, blindly into Tales. Like, during middle school, like, basically my day would be go to school, come home, play Tales, or play Tales of Rebirth specifically, eat dinner while playing Tales, and go back to playing more Tales, and then doing homework. Possibly by playing more Tales, and I go to bed. And that cycle will repeat. And of course, it was around when I started playing this game, which is after I had finished Destiny 2 and the Destiny PS2 remake, as well as like Legendia, Abyss, and I think some other games where my memory card got corrupted and I lost all my data. But the data that first got corrupted was Tales of Rebirth. That was the data that got corrupted. So, and I feel like, you know, I could have saved myself a lot of headaches if I had only if I had like just deleted that save data and then started over, because then I wouldn't have had to. I ended up losing the entire memory card, so I had to play through like a bunch of games, and of course something similar happened to that with my PS3, but the only difference is I started immediately. And I didn't have to start completely over. I started immediately. With some games I did because I didn't have the data for them, but I immediately started back up. With this, it kind of took me a little bit to get back into the groove of starting back. It's just because I was just kind of sad. Like, I didn't really want to play Tales. After I lost the data, it was pretty sad. I plan to do a video where I go about it in more detail. And of course, I did a video talking about like, oh, I'm all caught up now and then some. But, you know, that's just that. And of course, the final anime cutscene, which you may be seeing right now. You know, Argarte dies at the end. I'm just like, that's wow. I didn't expect that. But this game, I felt like, you know, and I mean, when I played it through again, like I didn't pay as much attention to every little detail. I'm mainly going off of what I remember. One thing I remember is like the whole thing with Annie, where like life has no color. Yeah, in this game, life has no color because everything's fucking dark. But you can definitely tell this game was designed by Mitsumi Inomata, but I feel like it's definitely different. Very different art. I don't know, maybe she had more. It's something. It's really something. But, you know, the voice acting in this game I felt like was pretty good. Everyone was voiced in a different way than I originally thought. Like, I didn't expect Kape Yamaguchi to voice Taitree. I didn't expect Vague to be voiced by fucking Nobuyuki Hiyama. But, you know, the voice cast in particular was pretty good, especially with Unsho Ishizuka, who's now Heihachi, and he's also Hercule or Mr. Satan or whatever you want to call him. So he's really risen up. But this is the first one I actually heard him as. But I'm definitely glad to finally have this game finished. And I was originally going to get the PSP version because I'm thinking, you know, it's a pretty good Tales game. I used to rate it. I feel like once I have to kind of get more into the story to really know what little information on the story I have and what I was able to kind of pick up just based on what all the characters were saying and doing. I mean, I don't know Japanese, but I'm starting to learn now, so I could probably pick up some stuff, and by some I mean just like one or two things, depending on what they say. But because of the guy's FAQ that I used, and I threw it away after, but then I made a point to go find that exact one, and of course it hadn't updated. Or if it had updated, it updated just a little bit. And so I was just like, well, yay. Because that one helped with the story a lot. And I really, I felt like it kind of helped with my enjoyment of the game, because I felt like I was able to kind of pick up on the story a little bit, like with Eugene getting really like crazy, like during the second half of the game. But because like if I hadn't had that FQ, I probably wouldn't have known that he like I would have just assumed that he maybe got mad. But of course it turns out that he actually, it's like a Gajima thing where he's going a little cuckoo and a little more animalistic. But Yeah, this game I feel like is really the story from what little I've gathered. It had I feel like this game kind of takes a little bit of I don't know if it definitely took liberties at the time. In fact, if you look on the PS2 website, you'll see that it got an award. That it got an award for for something. Like, it got a specific award, and it's like they actually showed it on like the website, which shows that it really had an impact on people. And it came out during the winter. Like, I think actually during December. So it was definitely a Christmas Tales game. It was almost like a little Christmas present for the Tales series fans in 2004, alongside with Symphonia, I suppose. But this game, you know, I think maybe it was because it was released in winter, and I also got it for Christmas. But funny thing is, like, I wanted to test it to make with import. I wanted to test them to make sure they worked. And of course, there was some truth to that, but I also just kind of wanted to play it for a little bit. And what I did was, it was kind of funny. Like, I think that early December during Christmas break, I actually made a copy of the game on an extra disc, and I played a little bit of it that way. I didn't tell anybody. But it's kind of funny. Like, that was my first time playing a burned copy of a PS2 game, because I was thinking, you know, oh, I've got Swap Magic, and that can play imported games, but it can also play backup games. And of course, I've done that later on with, you know, Saint Seiya the Hades and the Berserk PS2 game, which I ended up purchasing. And of course, I'm doing that for the fan translation of the Berserk game that I found, as well as Namco Cross Capcom, which I'll eventually touch upon maybe in the future. Probably one of the more vivid things I remember about this game is the like individual character dungeons that you had to do, and the little puzzles that you had to solve, because each character has their own force. Like, Vega's ice, obviously, and Eugene, I think, is supposed to be earth, and obviously Mao is fire. So that's an interesting it's an interesting use of their powers, I guess I'll say. And the summons, I don't like the characters like Shaorun, or like whatever you'd call those. I don't remember what they're called. I think they're gods. But basically, the summon spirits of this game, the song that would play like the doom 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 doom, it was kind of Aztec-y, and I sort of liked it, or like Egyptian sounding. Like this game had used different themes in the music and the visual presentation, everything very interestingly. And one thing that this game did, two things really. One thing that it did pretty interesting was one, when you go to towns, it actually had the town's name in English at the bottom, like Souls and whatnot. So like that made it easier, because that was helpful, because, you know, with Destiny 2, you know, it was all in Japanese, but you know, it had like a little pointer to where you were supposed to go, and it had a little gauge, I believe, where it would tell you where you're supposed to go if you're getting closer and you didn't have the map on. This game also used a 3D modeling for the map and whatnot, and, you know, the map looked very pretty to me. It looked very nice. And of course, with the English text, it made it easier to figure things out. It's kind of funny, like, in this was like probably the start of a trend for me, both in RPGs and in Tales. Like, when I would get to a new town, I would grind it to where I had enough money to where I would get the new armor and weapons and whatnot, and I would also stock up on items if I could. Because every shop I would go to, the armor would be better than the next one I had. And not even in just like a small way. Like, any stat that could get increased would get increased. And I found it really funny. And then also with the Tales series, I started with this OCD problem that I fucking have, where I'll have to watch every single skit, even if I can't understand a word they're saying. Like, I got one where Mao was singing a song, and then of course there's the one where Taitree asks Vague how old he is. He's like, I'm 18. Why? Oh, I'm 17. Like, okay, that's great. Thanks, I'm 22. I think I probably would have been doing this when I was... At the time, I probably would be recording this one when I was maybe 13 or 14. Would be when I would have recorded the original. But of course, the main difference is I've got a different perspective because, you know, I had to replay the entire game like as a teenager, and I only finished it when I turned like, I think it was either 20 or 21. But Nick and I also, we beat the final boss, and he played a little bit of it with me, and AJ also played. AJ liked to play as Mao. And, you know. But, yeah, I really enjoyed the things this game did. I'm trying to think of anything else that I want to mention. I'm looking at the video, and I'm noticing that I'm getting a little bit closer to my time limit. This one seems a little bit longer than what I initially remembered, but yeah, I was planning on getting the PSP. I might still get the PSP version because from what I understand, it adds an arena, which I think would be pretty fun. And I know there's a fan translation being worked on, which I might try to help with if I can, due to other projects that I may have been doing, hint hint. But yeah, this is a... Oh, and the other thing that I want to mention about this game, which is one of the reasons why, I mean, I would say, yeah, import this game, yet at the same time, because with this game, it requires you to input a password. Now, with this being a Japanese game, you have to kind of know the right characters. It's not about the spelling. I don't know if... I imagine with this game, you could probably get away... I would have if I were making this game, at least, I would have programmed it to where you could put in katakana, or like any, like you could put in the equivalent of like the spelling in any of the three languages, hiragana, katakana, or whatever. But I think I had to do hiragana, and I did that. There were some jokes you could do, but that was a bit of a pain. I had to like actually like look up the characters. Because the guy told me what to say, but it didn't give me like the actual characters, or at least not in the one I had, because I think at the time my computer, or the computer I was using, didn't have the doobly bop, the Japanese characters being readable at the time. But so that's one thing. So if you're gonna import this game, I definitely think you should. But I think you should either try to like prep yourself for that early on, like try and figure out what the passwords are beforehand, or wait for the translation patch to come out, because then it'll be in English. You won't have to worry about it. Yada yada yada. But definitely, this one is definitely probably worth picking up more than Destiny 2 from the standpoint of just it being a better quality game. Destiny 2, main difference is that it's shorter, and I'm only saying I do plan on writing a guide. Oh, I remember that was the final boss. He's scary. I feel like this is the first time I've noticed where the final boss was an actual like creature, and not like someone else that was like really evil. Like it was actually like a creature. So it was more with probably evil. I'm sure, like, once I read once I find the English version, I'll figure it out. But you know, yeah. Overall, I really like this game, and I'm glad I finally finished it. And I'm definitely gonna try and watch those subbed videos or wait for the patch or something. But you know, yeah. Getting closer to the end, so I guess I'll go ahead and say thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you for the next one. See you later. Well, okay, wait, no. Okay, we're getting there. Yay! Okay, now bye. For realsies. Thanks for watching. Bye.